We're coming in hot with inspiring guests, witty banter, and colorful commentary for today's veterans and military community. This is the Tango Alpha Lima podcast.
They call me crazy cause I'm facing all my giants. They try to scare me into thinking I can fight it. They tell me I should never even think of trying. But that's just me, I'm gonna live out in defiance.
Hello, Alphas. It is midsummer. I'm not quite yet in hot Jeff Summer shape, but we are getting there. We're moving towards the goal. If I could keep that consistency that Ashley Gudemuth has, that mile a day for how long?
Over 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I have some things in my fridge that I've probably had that long, but I don't commit to much else. So kudos to you. I don't know, because of the time jumping that we do, I don't know if you want to tell your almost interrupted running story.
Oh, my almost interrupt. Well, it's just another, notch in my belt. Hit myself with a sledgehammer in the leg yesterday, passed out a little bit.
As people do.
Wake me up because I just took a little nap in the backyard. And I was really disappointed in my body. I don't know if any of you guys ever have this where you're like, your mind is fine. I go through this a lot where my body will react before my mind does. Because my mind is just like, this is no big deal. Like, yes, it's a sledgehammer. Yes, it's my leg. No, it's not broken. We're good. And my brain was like, boo. No, apparently I looked it up. Blood pressure went too low. And then I just took a quick little nap. And then 911 had to be called. But I'm going to run today. We'll get it done.
It's interesting. Your husband called 911 for you, but if it was him, it would all be fine, right? Just
it would. I think
rub
that
some dirt on it.
To be fair, if he was unconscious, I would call 911. I've had many years, like many times where I've had like CPR training and things like that, and I have no confidence in my ability. So I don't know. We talked about buying one of those AEDs, with the federal FSA savings plan. You can use it to buy a home AED, and we're like we should do it. But we just end up shocking each other.
Right. Wait, he's getting to literally wake somebody up.
Just for you to be like, come on, sleepyhead, clear.
Okay, don't do that.
Nope, bad.
Okay. I feel like it needs to be said because you hit yourself with a sledgehammer
for comedy, and it was an accident,
and it ended up not being very funny to your husband.
Comedy hurts.
Comedy hurts. Okay. All right. Right now, this story is comedy then, because it hurts me deeply. Mm. Yep. I'm very feeling. All right. So speaking of people getting hurt and people needing to get fixed and helped and all of that, I think you have a story for us.
I do. All right. McDonough, the VA hiring push expected to stop increased VA claims from adding to agency backlog. This is from the Stars and Stripes. The Department of Veterans Affairs expects to end 2023 with a record number of veterans filing disability claims. But the recent hiring push at the agency should help expedite the process and not add to its backlog of unresolved cases, VA Secretary Dennis McDonough said Tuesday. Now, the VA's backlog of claims, which are cases waiting more than 125 days for a decision, has remained at roughly 200,000, despite the increase in filings triggered by the passage last year of a law that expanded toxic exposure benefits. We're working very hard to make sure that we bring that down. But the fact is, it's lower than we feared it would be had we not had the success we've had in hiring, McDonough said after touring a VA clinic in Cedar Park, a northern suburb of Austin, Texas. The Sergeant First Class Heath Robinson, honoring our promise to address Comprehensive Toxics Act of 2022, or the PACT Act, became law in 2022. Now millions of additional veterans could be eligible for disability benefits because of exposure they might have had to toxins, such as those that emanated from burn pits used to rid overseas military bases of trash and other materials during the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. The bill also covers veterans exposed to toxins during the Vietnam War. The VA is approaching 600,000 claims filed through the PACT Act since President Joe Biden signed it in August. The law included a $5 billion toxic exposure fund to cover the increased demand on the agency to help avoid problems caused by a similar expansion of coverage years earlier. More than 611,000 claims backlogged following a court decision that allowed for Vietnam veterans to get reevaluated for claims filed for exposure to the pesticide Agent Orange. The VA anticipated the PACT Act's passage and began using funds to ramp up its hiring efforts. Since then, it increased its Veteran Benefits Administration staff by 20%, McDonough said. Last year, the VA received a record-breaking 1.7 million claims for benefits. This year has already seen 30% more. Jeff,
Wow.
thoughts?
It's, you know, what's interesting to me is veterans are they're just like people.
Yeah.
We're the same.
Similar.
Yeah, we bleed blood like regular people. And
Yeah.
this 125 days for a decision and longer, I know people that sit there and they calculate how long it's been and if they get this much more or whatever, like how much that single check is going to be. It's like how people treat taxes. They lose money by having the government take too much all year, but I get my refund check. I guess there's a merit in that having $100 is different than if it's 2 years, you get $2,400 all at once rather than $100 right away. But this is 125 days for a decision when you've done all the work. So you've had your exams, you've filed the paperwork, you just need someone to make a decision. I don't know what the decision-making process is, and I don't know how many people have to approve it and how many eyeballs it has to go in front of, but I think it should, with all of the information already collected and put into and organized into a way that someone could look at it all in one place. I don't think it should take 125 days. That's actually my thought. And then my second thought is that not the most military naming or government naming of a law ever?
It's so long. And I didn't want to be like disrespectful when I was reading it, but I was like, this is going on a while.
Right. It's a story in and of itself.
Yes. And yeah, this is why super producer Holly saying this is why everyone needs a service officer. To me, it's like, think about all the people that don't have advocates, or what if they're injured in a way that they aren't able to process these types of things, or don't have these, they have some sort of head injury. They don't have these organizational skills. They can't remember things. We talk about how much money it costs the VA to support everybody that they sent to war, and which is always like such a funny thing. Yeah, you should support them. How much money that is, but also think about how much money they save by making these processes so hard and long, and the people that don't get what they just go, screw it, I'm not going to do it, you know?
Right. Well, as Holly just pointed out, this is why people can use service officers at veterans organization like, I don't know the largest one in existence, the American Legion. So if and for free, so you don't have to pay lawyers, you don't have to get these people who aren't VA certified or accredited is the proper term, and you can get the help you need for free. Now, I mean, you do have some skin in the game. You have to sign things and send some things in and whatnot, but they will tell you what forms you need to do. You don't have to do all of that work, and it costs you a grand total of $0.00 with a tax of 0% for a final cost of $0.00. So if you are a veteran out there and you do need some help with a claim, you don't even have to be a member of the American Legion to take advantage of it. You just go and find, no, you do not. Any veteran can go to an American Legion and ask to be referred to a service officer.
You have to go into American Legion and ask for that, or is there a hotline, or?
You're asking me questions, but like
it's really interesting to me. I'm going to go promote it.
Oh, well, we need super producer Holly. She's getting us a number. You can also go into any VA hospital and on the legion.org website. And there's a difference, though. The post service officer in most states are not accredited to file claims. You have to be that in the local post. They should be referring you to an accredited service officer so that they can actually do the work. And if need be, and they really become important if you have to appeal something, because the appeals process is very difficult, very convoluted, and you could say the same thing, and this is even true on the claim. You can say the same thing 2 different ways and get a different result. So you can say, oh yeah, I sometimes get headaches. Denied. If you say periodically and regularly, same thing.
Oh
Get
my
headaches.
God. Jump
Yeah.
into the sea.
What's that?
It's a jump into the sea. That is awful. I hate it.
Yeah. It's very complex, and I suggest that everyone use a service officer. I don't know if they ever get overwhelmed, these service officers, but you can also use the DAV has them, VFW has them, county governments sometimes have them. We have service officers here in LA County, and just get the help to get the help. That's all I'm saying.
There you go.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. All right, we're gonna move along. I feel like there's something you should add before I take over again. Did you have any thoughts reading that other than you needed a break after the naming?
Needed a break. I feel like, I know people that have used organizations to try to help manage their VA benefits, and just nobody has ever come out of that process and gone, you know what, that was super efficient. And I'm really grateful that it went as easily as it did, and why does it have to be so hard for people that they've been poisoned, right? They've got stuff in their lungs, the burn pits, the Agent Orange. Like, why was that such a big deal? That should have been an easy hit, right? Vietnam vets had a really difficult time, and they got all of these after effects from being exposed to Agent Orange. And then, oh yeah, let's see if we can add them. Let's see. Like, no, add them. How about we add them?
Yep.
Should be an easy hit.
Let's see. I can't read all of what she wrote without clicking on it. Super producer Holly says, this is a direct quote, and I'm not going to try to sound like her. From March commander's message, in fiscal year 2022 alone, veterans and other claimants represented by the American Legion received more than $16 billion in VA benefits compensation. In the same fiscal year, the Legion's Board of Veterans Appeals Unit represented more than 17,000 appellants, helping them to secure more than $66 million in retroactive VA claims. So it's not always efficient, and we can't really expect much efficiency when dealing with government agencies of that size. And also there's people out there that game the system. There's people out there so they do have to have some protections in place to make you validate and prove. But if you have, and that's why these what are they? They're not pre-approved. She's trying to speak to the camera to me through the lens. It doesn't work. Not accredited. The ailments that you get are assumed. They're assumed, presumptive. Yes, presumptive ailments. So that if you were in Vietnam and you were in the place where they did Agent Orange and you have one of the presumptive things, that should go very, very, very quickly. And I'm glad for that. All right, let's go. We got some inside information to get to. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are out there and you have a clearance, you want to dust it off and prepare yourself to hear what you're about to hear. Because today we'll be joined by Alec Bierbauer and retired Colonel Mark Cooter, the co-authors of Nevermind, We'll Do It Ourselves. The inside story of how a team of renegades broke rules, shattered barriers, and launched a drone warfare revolution. Skip the book. I want to see this movie. Are you kidding me? All right. The book tells the story behind the origins of the Predator drone program and the dawn of unmanned warfare. And the authors are well qualified to tell this story. Alec served as a warrant officer and counterintelligence special agent in the U.S. Army, and then continued working in counterterrorism at Defense Intelligence Agency, and then at CIA, where he served as a case officer in the clandestine service. Woo! Retired U.S. Air Force Colonel Mark Cooter served as an intelligence officer for 28 years, including command of the 497th of Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance Group and the 547th Intelligence Squadron. He served as the operations officer of the Air Combat Command's Expeditionary Air Intelligence Squadron, the Air Force side of the joint CIA U.S. Air Force venture that operated the RQ-1 and the MQ-1 Predator remotely piloted aircraft system. Whew. I know that was long, but there was a lot more in the full bios of both these guys. Trust me. And if you don't know what any of that means, you didn't need to know. You don't have the clearance. Don't worry about it. You're going to find out what you should know and what you can know. So I suggest that you go read their guest profiles in the show notes while we head to this break. And then we're going to catch up with you on the flip side with Alec and Mark. And they already know a lot about you too. So behave on that break or they're going to call you out.
The American Legion is raising awareness about PTSD and veteran suicide by offering hope, camaraderie, and support.
Be the one to help end veteran suicide.
The goal of the American Legion's Be the One campaign is to destigmatize asking for mental health support.
Be the one to ask a veteran in your life how they're doing.
Be the one who saves one veteran.
Go to betheone.org and help the American Legion end veteran suicide.
Will you be the one?
See, I did that. Made it professional. We're professional up in here. Alec, Mark, welcome to the Tango Alpha Lima experience. We already introduced you, so they're already impressed. I would only caution you now, do not let them down because they won't come back after the break. How are you guys doing today?
Great. Great. Really appreciate the opportunity, Jeff and Ashley, to be able to come on and talk to you.
And this is awesome. I am a little intimidated because I read, I believe it's Alec was in clandestine services with the CIA. And I feel like now I'm in some book, some file, and you know everything about me, and I'm probably gonna be followed around. Now, before we get into the real questions, I have to tell you, last year at convention, the CIA was there and they were recruiting, and I walked up to the guy and I said, "How long will it take you to make me Jason Bourne?" And he actually said no one ever said that to him before, and that disappointed me in America. Anyway, so Ashley over there, she gets the first real question. She's a tough cookie, but I'm sure you two can handle it.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you guys for being here. Jeff kind of lead it into it. So you guys, both of you have extensive military experience. I am interested in what, Alec, what did you prefer? Did you prefer your military time or your DIA CIA time?
Yeah, great question. And again, thank you. And it is from the camaraderie, the brotherhood, the traditions perspective, definitely my Army time. From the ability to operate as an individual and really have exceptional access and resource to the intelligence community. The CIA piece was by far the highlight in that aspect.
That was, but okay. How's the bureaucracy? How does that compare?
Yeah, so CIA definitely wins on the bureaucracy side. So,
oh my God, they're worse. Oh no.
Getting the waiver is easier in the Army side than it is on the CIA side. But no, to be truthful, you're serving, the president and Congress and informing with the intelligence picture, and it's a great responsibility, but it's a phenomenal place to work.
But I would say when you take the Department of Defense bureaucracy and the agency bureaucracy and link them together, it is exponentially harder then.
Is it? Oh my God, nothing gets done. Quicksand.
So you're both were intelligence. I'm just seeing that Mark was in the Air Force as an intelligence officer. Your wife is also in the Air Force, and I hear that you have a new title in your life.
Yes. Dependent spouse and soon to be commander's spouse again.
Oh,
yeah.
right. Yeah, you and Ashley are both dependent spouses. Although Ashley calls herself an independent spouse.
Independent.
My wife will say that too. Yeah, I will. This year, I actually have as much time as a dependent spouse as we did as joint spouse. So
Okay. So I guess we should jump into the meat of this. And the meat of this is you both together penned a book. I'm forgetting the exact name of the title, so I'll do it myself. Wait, Nevermind, I'll do it myself.
Never mind, I'll do it myself. We'll do it.
The Memory of a Marine. All right.
Yeah.
So so before you get into what the book is about, how is it, and I've never been good at this, even in college, group projects, go away, I'll get you an A, leave me alone. How is it that you work together and co-wrote a book? What's that process like?
Well, the writing of the book was actually easier than getting it cleared for publication. We were intent on doing it right, and we waited until we were both done with our government service to really sit down and focus on the book. Spent quite a bit of time writing what would have come across as a dry academic textbook of Mark and I going through both the technical aspects and the people, and really the intent is to tell the story of the people that we had on our team and the mission that we had. But the telling story part came quick, came easy, and we wrangled in another friend of ours, Michael Marks, to help us tell that story in a coherent fashion. And as you'll see in the book, we use alternating first person for Mark and I to talk through the events from really about 1999 through 2002, early 2003. But Mark and I always worked well together, not necessarily always agreeing together. We had some turbulent times too, but the book was really a walk down memory lane for us, and we also interviewed a number of the people that we worked with to make sure that we got the facts right, and to make sure we included a variety of perspectives on it.
Yeah, and I would say one of our challenges was it was many years after, as Alex said, we left our military service and our government service but think about this, because of the nature of it, we couldn't have any records. So some of it was from memory, some of it when you start trying to lay down a timeline of what happened when, there were some stuff out in the government documents, but then I was like, hey, Alec, I had a kidney stone removed about that time. Let me go to my medical records and see when that was, to at least get what month that was, or a travel voucher here or there that you could keep. So, recreating the timeline was a major challenge for the events that Alec was talking about. And we actually created one that was quite extensive, but it took us several years to do that. And, it really came, we had an outline over the years, and then it came time for my military retirement. And right about that time, Alex, like, okay, are we ready? And then that's when we started at least talking about it.
Wow, that's awesome. I think Alec brought up a piece that I hadn't thought of, and it's getting clearance. So how strict were they with you, and are there things that you couldn't, they took out?
I don't even know where to start with that, but it took almost 4 years to get it cleared for release. And like I said, we were intent on doing it by the book, but by the nature of the clearances that we had and where we were working, we signed that lifelong obligation to have any publications reviewed. And the initial response was, the very premise of this book is properly classified at the top secret level, and we're not gonna release it. And And that was taking, CIA, Predator, Hellfire, Afghanistan, and putting that all together. But as we know, the book came out, during the pandemic, and by that point, it was a pretty poorly kept secret about Predator and CIA, and we really did push pretty hard to, let's talk about what are the technologies that we need to protect. Let's talk about what are the people and the relationships we need to protect. And we wrote it very diligently to focus on technology that was pretty much 15, 20 years old at that point, and tactics, techniques, and procedures that were dated. So we collaborated and involved an attorney at towards the end to just help us get across the finish line, and we did. And the parts that we redacted, that the agency or DoD wanted out, we obviously complied and took those out, and it was, at the end of it, it was very minor. Once you get over the premise being able to be shared, the detailed aspects were pretty minor for redactions at that point.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. I mean, Alec mentioned the first part, and then the next one along it, they actually brought him in and slid a chapter to him, and the only thing that was unredacted was chapter 4, and that was it. The rest of it was black. So we went from there to, finally getting a document from them after months and months and months. And Alec was actually driving when he called me and said, "Hey, I think I've got something from them." And he shot me the PDF, and there were bits and pieces that were redacted, and one major, but we were able to work through those finally, that we had something to work with. So, but I think they underestimated our perseverance in getting this story out.
And to be clear, I pulled over before I sent him the PDF. But I was driving, but I was so excited. I'm like, I got to send.
No, there's no laws against sending PDFs and driving. That's not texting. Don't worry.
That's okay.
So, like, what's interesting to me is having to get all of this approval. It's not like there's, well, maybe there is. Is there a part of the agencies, these agencies that deal with this type? I know there's like public affairs and things like that, but there's no real incentive for these people to read your book and help you to get it, to figure out what needs to be redacted or not. I'm sure that they were probably just like, well, why would we help you? Right. Or is there a different?
And remember, this is not just the agency. I had to submit it to the Air Force for the Air Force to submit it to the Department of Defense at the same time. So
they probably didn't agree. They're picking out different things. You're like, why does this? And so were there any stories that like you were like, they're never going to accept this, and then they were like, it's fine?
I think, to the first part of the question, the Publication Review Board is an established entity within CIA, and similarly within the Department of Defense. When they say you can't publish anything without us reviewing it, they create that task for themselves of actually being able to review it. But so it's a rotational assignment in most cases, and then they'll farm it out to the subject matter experts for whatever that topic is to review it against the security classification guide. So there, and there is congressional direction that you have a certain period of time by which to clear that. So even if it's a PowerPoint presentation or a blog or a news article, it has to go through there, and they turn those within days in most cases.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So there's, I think in this case, because of the subject matter and the fact that it was a book, that bogged it down. But we thought it would take a couple of months, but certainly not the length of time that it did. To the second part of the stories, there were, chapter 1 is very much focused on the first night of the war in Afghanistan, and the topics, the conversations, the weapons protocols, the engagements, the intelligence that was being developed at that time, and we got pretty far in the weeds on that, to include what the CIA director was saying right then, because he was in our ops center, and what some of the generals were saying, forward location. So there was there were some really good kind of engagements with some unique personalities that we did get cleared.
Yeah, cool.
So now, so you get the book cleared, and you're now promoting it. And by the way, do we have to get this podcast cleared with anybody?
Yeah, great question, but no.
No, okay, good.
We know what we could talk about and what we need to stay away from. So
All right, perfect.
it's
So
a
you're
good
getting the book cleared and you have to promote it. How do you describe the book to someone who is looking at, oh, this sounds interesting. What am I going to get myself into when I open the pages?
Well, I'll let Alec get to that. Just remember, though, we were doing this during COVID. Not the great time to promote a book.
Not the great. Well, you're promoting it now. So, and you're promoting it to all of our listeners. So your sales are going to spike.
Great.
I wouldn't, maybe not a spike, maybe just like a knit. You're going to knit.
We'll take it. We
that
welcome
little
it.
bump.
We wrote the book, and our self promotion of it was really to get the word out about the team and the technology and the innovation that we were able to do across government bureaucracies, like we talked about at the beginning, and really to show that this whole of government approach and unique aspects of government can collaborate, can work together, and can do really great things. And there's great examples through history of that collaboration, and from the technologies, the engineering, the political bureaucracy, and the legal authorities, so forth. All of those came into play, and we thought it was so unique that it really needed to be shared. And in a very serious fashion, we've lost a couple members of our team over the years, and their families really didn't know what they supported, didn't know what they were about. Didn't know the programs that they were involved in, and we really wanted those spouses and kids to have that opportunity to hear what their loved ones did.
Yeah.
Mark.
And that's what kept us going. I mean, I get emotional about that topic, that the families and stuff. But when we were trying to get it through, it was like, it's for them. And so, and on the military side, we had pieces of operational people from our acquisition, because we're doing something completely different and changing the way a Predator aircraft was designed to do things. And so we had some great people within Big Safari, our contractors, but on the operations team, I had my boss that was a colonel. Myself, I was a major at the beginning of this and turned lieutenant colonel. And then the rest of the team were mostly captains and below, a lot of junior enlisted, E2, E3, all the way to senior NCOs and lieutenants that were doing this, supporting a national mission. And so, I wanted to let their story be told so that people could say you can make a difference as a junior person in the military.
Yeah,
Yes,
totally. Are you with all the stuff being so secret and not being able to say things, and you're talking about the families and not knowing what their service members went through, when you are able to get together and with people that you can actually speak freely with, and I guess it's even hard, you're not in like a secure environment or anything like that, is that like a relief where you can talk about these types of stories?
Yeah, absolutely. Mark's excellent at keeping everybody in contact with each other, and both through a group email, and then we do periodic reunions. And it's always, it's great to see people, 5, 10, 20 years later, and to almost exclusively, everybody will come back and say, it was the best thing I did in my career. It was a highlight to be able to work on that program and during that time. And keep in mind, our goal was finding finding bin Laden in Afghanistan, and trying to dismantle the Al Qaeda architecture well before the war, well before 9/11. And, it was not hard to get people to support the program. Once they could know what the program was about, they were always on board. But my favorite reunion was one we did just a year or so ago at the Smithsonian. We've tied a couple of them to the Smithsonian and gotten inside, and one of our aircraft is hanging there, and that we had the curator and some of the historians at the Smithsonian sit down and spend a day with us, walking through how they wanted to get the displays right. They're redoing the display now, and there's some I think it's another year before it goes on display. But our ability to bring in the team to collaborate with the Smithsonian on putting that together and getting it right was really special.
Oh, that's cool.
So now that the book's out, and you guys you're doing kind of a second wave promotion now that
Right.
now that you're out there. So what's next for you guys? What and being that you spent all that time in government service, and you've obviously transitioned well into the civilian world. What are you doing in that civilian world, and where can we keep up?
Go ahead, Mark.
Well, we talked about my my independent spouse thing. I got on with a company after retirement with a small consulting firm that allows me to continue to do intelligence related work remotely, and move whenever my wife gets another assignment. So I work for Patch Plus Consulting. We do intelligence work for military, other government. If an industry partner wants to get into the defense world, we help them steer through that. But to be honest, most of my day now, or a good chunk of my day, is getting my 13-year-old around to her club sports and dance and theater half the time. So it's a challenging balance. And now with my wife taking on command and being there to once again jump in and help, she's at it's not a joint base, but there's service members from all branches there, and help my wife support their families as they come here for training in Texas. Alec?
Yeah, it's for me, the transition out of government was fairly smooth. I miss my CIA days. I miss my Army days. In fact, I was on an Army base last week doing some testing in my civilian job, and I'm like, man, I miss the troops, and I miss the camaraderie and that part of my life for sure. I have a small company called BlackRock Strategy, and we do both commercial and government consulting, mostly risk management. And on the government side, we do much the same things that Mark and I leveraged back in our day in government. I'm looking for the newest emerging technologies and helping to assess them and navigate the defense acquisition process to get new sensors, new capabilities out to the warfighter. So I feel like I'm still contributing in that sense. The book, the book's on Amazon, and we're very proud of it. We did a website that we'll give you so you can post as well. And really the things that we put on the website are some of the pictures that didn't get into the book just for space. And really we've got an acknowledgement section in there highlighting some of the people that have been lost over the years, including a Marine air crew bringing us fuel to one of our forward locations. That was one of the big things that we wanted to make sure that we got highlighted. There's an example of what I was talking about earlier of family members that knew their loved ones were lost in combat, but didn't have the context for where or what. So we wanted to get that acknowledgement. We did that through the website.
Outstanding. Do you have any questions left, Ashley?
Well, Alec, you just mentioned that you're always on the lookout for emerging technologies for the government. What do you think about AI?
This is a great question, and Mark and I had the opportunity to do a speech about a year ago to about 800 technology providers that are really looking for that next edge, that next piece, and AI was obviously a focus of that. And while we were looking at it from the perspective of trying to help them see how we navigated the bureaucracy, AI really represents that ability to put the technology forward for the warfighter. We were processing and making decisions thousands of miles away back at our headquarters at CIA, where now a lot of those decisions, a lot of that processing can be done on the aircraft or forward in the field. The biggest thing that I think where I leave my comfort zone, I think AI is fantastic for advancing the technologies and the capabilities to the warfighter and giving them intelligence and giving them effects for targets without having to go back to the Beltway to Washington, D.C. for it. But that ultimate decision of delivering effects, and from what we put together, it would have been Hellfires, that giving that authority to a computer is well outside my comfort zone. I still think you need the human in the loop for making those types of decisions. I think you need the moral and the ethical dilemma to be processed. We had great checklists and processes and validation efforts to go through for targets, and I think giving that to the computer is just a bridge too far, at least for me at this stage.
Yeah, I think my time as an intelligence analyst, having something help me process through all that information. We talked about, Alec talked about us going in before 9/11. So we were having to take our little Predator and go through enemy air defenses, which it wasn't designed to do. And we were relying on young personnel, mostly young officers and enlisted, to try to process through that information to make that happen. And having an AI to help do that would have been great. I agree with Alec on the human in the loop. And I also, it makes me nervous, especially having children, that there's somebody who's programming that system. Their intent may be different than what yours and mine are. So I'm concerned with how that can be utilized and how those algorithms can be written.
Yeah, and it's so smart and scary, and also the way that the companies have now started to put morals into it, which makes me mad. I just get mad at the robots. I'm like, how dare you? I am not doing. You will tell me what I want. Like I'll put it there, like ask for a list of like funny insults or something like that one particular comedian wrote, and it'll be like, as a computer model, I am not allowed to promote insulting others. And I'm like, screw you, I will come up with robot insults. As you guys are talking, it makes me realize how's the military going to use this? Probably anywhere that there's a call center, like Mark, AFPC, right? It's a nightmare to try to get anything done. That's going to turn into AI. You'll get less and less people that you'll be able to. You could already barely talk to anybody now. It would take 4 years to get your travel voucher done.
Well, and the interesting part, and there's an educational piece to that too, because people may not have the personality that you have to just keep persevering. They'll go, oh, that's the way it is. And if they're not educated on what that's supposed to do for them, then they may never get helped, right? And same way with especially those algorithms on social media and other things. If the children aren't educated with what a fact is today, right? I hear this thing about alternate fact and my brain explodes, and how to deal with that, right?
It's so true.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was going to say, in your business, AI could be used, in intelligence or counterintelligence. I mean, they're spoofing voices. They're getting better and better at spoofing images, even animated images. So when you're talking about and AI can crack codes faster and faster. So somebody could get in and give an order to somebody from somebody familiar to them
Yep.
on a secure channel that was cracked by AI and cause either a destabilizing or some kind of escalating event. Is that a real fear in your community?
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, now I'm questioning whether I'm really talking to Jeff and Ashley.
Right.
Are you guys
And every once in a while I
real?
just go,
Are you guys real or not?
Yeah.
But yeah, it is. I mean, the positive aspects of it to accelerate that intelligence analysis is fantastic. The negative aspects of it, deep fakes, and how do you know this is truly, real and not generated, either, as voice or as images or as actions. That's, it's pretty edgy stuff. I wish we would have had the analytical power of some of the platforms now, back when we were, we were with grease pencils and acetate trying to figure out where bin Laden was, tracking him around a map of Afghanistan in 99, 2000, 2001. And, you think about how we could have taken the intelligence reports that we did get and process those, in a more deliberate fashion and look for those patterns. That would have been awesome. And Mark's example of trying to navigate enemy air defense, I mean, you'll have to read the book to see where, a Predator outruns a MiG fighter. But, those types of, the innovation of the pilots that we had, and the planners that we had, and the intelligence officers that we had, to say, hey, you can't defeat the spoon rest radar, you can't run from it, but if you park yourself right over top of it, you can hide inside a zone where it can't see you. Those types of things, are probably, out there in the AI world, or will be, but I'll still take the pilot and the engineer and the intel officer to help put together that con up.
Heck yeah.
right?
Well,
Because, oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, well, the book, Nevermind, we'll do it ourselves. It sounds awesome. Sounds like there's a lot of great stories in there. And you guys have had super interesting lives that you've dedicated to the country. And I just say thank you.
Well, thank you. And we appreciate what you do. The Be the One program, which I've paid attention to recently, is really an important one. And you guys are championing the cause. So we really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks very much. I appreciate it.
Well, you guys are championing the cause of keeping us from living Battlestar Galactica, Terminator, and all these other things. It's like when they develop this stuff, they've never watched anything science fiction. I just don't understand it. Right now, we're going to say farewell to Alec and Mark, although I think they may keep tabs on us in the future. I see a black van outside my window right now.
You gotta figure out if you're real or not.
Yeah, right. So I'm gonna have the alphas go ahead and take a break, and don't trust anything you see. Don't trust anything you hear. It might not be real. But we are going to come back, and we're real because we told you so. And we're going to talk about Alex and Mark when they're not here, and they cannot redact anything that we say.
Nothing.
But first, go take your break, alphas. We'll be right back.
American values and patriotism. The American Legion advocates for upholding and defending the United States Constitution, equal justice and opportunity for everyone, and discrimination against no one, youth education, responsible citizenship, and honoring military service by observing and participating in patriotic and memorial events. We are veterans strengthening America. We are the American Legion.
All right, Ashley Gutermuth,
Sir.
you've had exposure to the inside of our intelligence community. Any takeaways today?
Any takeaways? I feel like they saw some cool things, and they did something that I say all the time, which is you never get a plaque, you never get a plane on a stick dedicated in your name. You never get a statue made after you if you don't cause trouble and break a few barriers. And they saw something that needed to be done and they did it. I'm proud of them.
And never mind, they'll do it themselves on that statue thing.
That's right.
Just like that book, they'll just
Just like
handle
the
that.
book.
They'll just handle that stuff. And I didn't mention them because I don't like to be a braggart, but you know, I had a security clearance on the ship when we deployed,
Yeah.
and I saw some things like every day. I saw the weather report of where we
Mhm.
were going. You actually had to have a security clearance to get the
To see the
weather because
weather.
it tells where the ship is going. So I
Oh,
had
yeah.
to have a clearance for that. So, you know, I don't want to brag, but the CIA never called me.
There's still time.
There's still time. Please, CIA, don't call me. Except I want to be Jason Bourne. It's be awesome.
You could do it.
All right, it's time for what 3 people have told me is their favorite part of the week, and that is the Tango Alpha Lima version of Rapid Fire. Rapid Fire number 1. Curtis High School students help homeless veterans. This is in the jurisdiction that I aim to govern, Legiontown, USA. I'm a retired Marine and member of American Legion Post 52 in Coventry, Connecticut. I'm also a volunteer program manager for Backpacks for Life, which services homeless veterans. I recently partnered with Curtis High School in Staten Island to help homeless veterans there. With the supervision and leadership of NJROTC instructor Jacqueline Caputi, Gunnery Sergeant USMC retired, the Cadet Corps completed a successful donation drive at Curtis High School for daily essential items to complete 37 backpacks for homeless and at-risk veterans in Staten Island. Now this is in the way back time before Ashley 2.0. This was during the time of OG AG, original Ashley, and Mark Seavey too. This is season 1, I believe. Actually, I know because I'm looking at the link right here. Is episode 33 in season 1. We had Backpacks for Life on the show, and I see that they have now made it to the big time. They have been referenced in Legiontown. Ashley, have you ever been referenced in Legiontown?
Not yet, but I'm hoping someday that I will be your secretary when you are mayor of Legiontown.
Well, you know, the interesting thing about Legiontown is you can mention yourself.
Oh, maybe I will.
We can write our own stories in Legiontown. I think maybe I'll submit one today. All right, there are links here for this, for Backpacks for Life. You can find them directly. You can get back to that episode with Brett DeLisandro and Alex Modero. Yep. You can look up that Legion post that we were talking about, and you know, just have a good time with it. It's Backpacks for Life. And if you buy one from them, your purchase also gets another backpack donated to somebody who can need it. So
there you go.
We love them.
Mm-hmm.
Love them. All right, rapid fire number 2. This one's for you, Ashley Gutermove. I expect you to have a soliloquy in response to this. How stand-up comedy can heal the military-connected community. As I ascended the few short steps to the showroom stage at the DC Improv, it seemed as if time briefly stood still. In that dark, nondescript basement venue in Northwest DC, I now occupied the same space that hundreds of household names and homegrown talent alike had held for decades. My lime green rhinestone mesh halter top glistened under the blinding stage lights. This was my moment to shine. I do need to interject here and let you know that I'm reading for somebody else.
I was picturing you.
For 5 glorious minutes, I laid my soul bare to a crowd of faceless silhouettes. I told jokes about my divorce. I poked fun at my bisexuality. I detailed the hilarious woes of being remarried to an active duty service member. With the landing of each punchline, a sense of relief washed over me. I felt seen. I felt heard. At last, I felt understood. What do you think of that, Ashley?
I think That's awesome. Sounds like she's talking about the Armed Services Arts Partnership, which is an organization that I helped mentor one of their comedy classes, and they're great. Anybody that is military spouse, military, active, retired, any of that good stuff, you can take online and in-person comedy classes. And healing is helped by comedy. It's like I say this all the time, but this is my catchphrase for this week is I say this all the time. You need to remember what you were going to say, Ashley.
Yeah.
Here's the problem.
I do remember you saying comedy hurts. So
I did pass out a little bit yesterday. So, we're working with what we got.
A little bit.
If you have something bad happen to you and you turn it into comedy or some sort of story, it means that thing didn't just happen in vain. It happened for a good reason. You were able to create something out of it.
And it creates an effect that it has that you're a project that you are affiliated with. The title of kind of describes what the process you're talking about. Hilarious, right?
Hilarious. Heck yeah. Me, Robin Phoenix Johnson, going around the country trying to find the funniest military spouses and veterans. And guess who's a sponsor? Guess who's a part of that? Oh, it's the American Legion.
The American Legion. Outstanding. Well, that's good news. You can find ASAP, the organization that Ashley just mentioned, in the show notes. And also the VA has they are embracing creative arts therapy. So you can see that link as well, and potentially find a creative outlet for you at your local veterans. Is it administration? Is that what we're saying? I keep forgetting. It's Veterans Affairs. Yes, the Department of Veterans Affairs. I still say administration, and I apologize. You have the right to change your name, government agency, and I will respect that. Okay, we are now going on to our final segment of this. It is rapid fire number pew, pew, pew. That would be 3. This is the second one where it says I'm a retired U.S. Marine. All right. In Legiontown again. There's a lot of retired U.S. Marines in Legiontown. It's a safe place. I'm a retired U.S. Marine. I served 24 years and I'm now a writer, speaker, and storyteller. Perhaps my most important story is available now, and I believe it directly supports the Legion's Be the One initiative. My book, 22, A Journey to the Edge of Darkness, immerses readers in a unique and transformative tale of reconciliation as I examine the difficult subject of veteran suicide. This thought-provoking story covers themes of post-traumatic stress, survivor's guilt, mental isolation, and the emotional toll of combat. Okay, first of all, I have to say, a Marine wrote this. There's a lot of words, a lot of syllables, all caught up in that contextual collection. I'll just say that right now. This is one smart Marine right there. Tell you what. So what do you think there, Ash, of a smart Marine in Legiontown writing a good book?
I think that's fantastic. 22, A Journey to the Edge of Darkness. I feel like everybody should go out and get it. Go support this Marine. Obviously, he's a genius.
Yep, the Amazon link is there. So you can check it out. Give us a maybe. I don't know. I want the alphas out there to take a little bit of control over this situation. Get the book. If you love the book, go to legion.org/Tango Alpha Lima, suggest a guest, and suggest this retired Marine of Legiontown be a guest on this show. That's all I'm going to say. And if you don't do it, I think Ashley has some things to say about you.
I'm coming for you.
Yeah, she would be coming for you. All right, Ashley, we have some reading to do.
Yeah, you know what? I just want everybody to subscribe to the Tango Alpha Lima podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you consume podcasts. Please leave us a review and give us a big old 5-star rating. If you don't, I'm going to wait until it's the middle of summer, and then I'm going to sneak up to your car and I'm going to freeze all of your car locks so that you can't get in. You'll be like you have like an older car. I know you'll be putting the key in and you're like, why is this not working? And it's just not. And you're like, this is acting like it's freezing. Like it's not wintertime. This is summer. Why would my locks be frozen? And you won't be able to figure it out. And you won't have brought the little like de-icer thing with you because it's the middle of summer. It wouldn't make any sense. And I'll just be waiting in the corridor, just watching, laughing, going, yeah, why'd you leave us 3.5 stars, Mike? This is what happened.
And you know what else? By the time they call AAA to come help them, it will have melted, and they're going to look
melted.
Even more foolish.
You'll look like fools.
You got layers on this one.
I don't mess around. If you do have a guest recommendation, though, like a locksmith, you might need one of those. Go to legion.org/Tango Alpha Lima. Click on the suggest a guest link so we can chat to them.
It's amazing. And I'm going to just go ahead and say it right now. This was an insightful episode. Don't talk about things that need to be redacted, but everything else, feel free to share with everyone that you know. Here's a hint. Nothing that we said was redacted. It's just a little more bad intelligence humor. With that, I'm going to go ahead and declassify and release to the world. Season 4, episode 163 is now mission complete.